What about health and fitness, which has been the whole key for if you're not pitching well or if you are pitching well? What do you like right now in 2020 here?
Coming into camp with a completely healthy off season again, and coming off a season where I felt better as I went. You know, it was really unexpected, honestly, to go into a season feeling pretty good, much better than I had the previous two seasons. But then all of a sudden, as the season wore on, my health and my pitching ability and everything sort of got better and better, and I started having a lot more confidence on the mound, knowing that I'm healthy. You know, you can fake it for a while, but you can't fake being healthy. And when you are healthy, it's a game changer. It gives your mind a lot of peace and a lot of ease, and can go out there and perform and pitch like you're supposed to.
So, as a Christian, you're not supposed to be spiteful, but was there any spite last year when you were unhittable down the stretch? Hey, I showed you people. I knew I could do this, and you all doubted me.
I wouldn't say that. Had it been the year prior, you know, when everyone just completely gave up on me right away, and I'm not saying it, you know, I earned that from pitching hurt. You know, I could have just shut it down, but I really tried to get the job done. They were paying me a lot of money to get the job done, and I felt like I owed it to them. But last year I had a better mindset with it. I had a lot more peace about what had happened before, and coming out of that, I knew the expectations were low, which they should have been. You know, and I was hurt for 2 straight seasons for the most part, and you know, when you set that mark, it's kind of hard to get that out of people's minds. So I had to re-earn it.
How did you know that people were really doubting you and saying that, hey, I think he's done?
Because honestly, people told me. You know, they'd tell me to my face, which was pretty awesome.
You mean fans?
Yeah.
No way. Someone at a grocery store would say, hey, I don't think you have it, you're done?
They would say, hey, thanks for the good years, you know, I appreciate it. And I had on many occasions people tell me that they didn't want me to continue playing baseball, but they did want me to start my coaching career. Yeah, that happened. So, you know, if you're hurt, you start kind of listening to that. But when I started to come out of being hurt, it was easier for me to use that as fuel, you know, to help push me to get me to where I wanted to be.
So the number is now for career wins. Your number is 162. With the way you finished last year, have you thought at all about 200?
Yeah. Well, you know, mainly where I think about that is having lost a couple seasons, one to Achilles, where I was pitching really well, and just to have a leg injury, that's kind of weird. You know, where would you be if you hadn't torn your Achilles? And losing a season to Tommy John, which you can almost live with because you're a pitcher, you know, and you expect an arm injury at some point. You don't expect it maybe, but it's part of the job. But you know, the guys that are up there around 200 or just over it now, the Greinke's, the Verlanders, those guys, they haven't had those injuries, and I hope they never do. But unfortunately, I missed 2 years of my prime, you know, with injuries that took me out for most of the season or the whole season. So I'd probably be there, honestly, without being hurt. But where I'm at right now is I'm thinking about this year, and I'm trying to get to, you know, if I'm at, what'd you say, 162?
Yeah.
What can I'd like to get into the 80s, you know? That's my goal this year.
Were you ever at all tempted last year, because the ending was so magnificent, to go out like, say, Andy Bennis? His last pitch in a regular season game was his 2000 strikeout, and he was one of the best pitchers in baseball the second half of the season. Did you ever think, hey, it can't end any better than this?
Well, we didn't win the World Series. That could have ended a lot better for me. You know, had we gone out and won the World Series and I was the MVP, it might have crossed my mind, but then again, I was just getting back healthy. You know, I was just getting back confident again. I don't think I would have walked away. I would have seen if we could have doing it again. You know, I would have seen if back-to-back was possible. So I still have the competitive juices inside me flowing. I still have the urge to go out and win, and I'm still having so much fun playing baseball. I mean, you know, going to the park to me is just such, I mean, I was just thinking this morning what a tremendous blessing it is that I can still play this game of baseball, you know. Come down here to spring training every year, this beautiful place, and play baseball, the game that I've loved since I was a small kid for a living. You know, it just is, it's just a tremendous blessing, and I'm relishing that right now. I'm having so much fun. When it stops being fun or I get hurt again, I'll quit.
What about the metamorphosis of your pitching style? Not that you were ever Nolan Ryan, but you were up in the mid-90s consistently. Now you're out thinking people. Do you have headaches at the end of games because you have to be locked in and just outsmart people?
You know, Koozie, it's been interesting. Part of what you said is very true, that I touched mid-90s, but I never pitched there. I mean, if you look, I mean, it's documented. You can go back and look at my fastball, average fastball. I think the hardest average fastball I ever had was 92 point something, and that was in 2013. And that's considerably higher than it is now. It's probably around 90 now. So it's 2 miles an hour. But people have this false notion that I used to pitch like Max Scherzer. And I threw a little harder, but I never was a burner. You know, I never was out there pitching like Carlos, throwing 100 miles an hour past people. I've always relied on making pitches, on getting out of jams, not giving free passes, and trying to think ahead of the hitters and being prepared. Those are all things Carp and Dave Duncan and Lilly and Mike Maddox and all those guys have taught me over the years. Those were things I've always relied on. So I'm doing the same style of pitching, just a little bit different. But it's not. I mean, it's not completely like I went from pitching like Max Scherzer to the way I'm pitching now. It's just not the case. I wish people could go back and look at my good years. In 2014, I started the All-Star game. I was pitching. I was averaging 89 to 91. I wasn't even trying to throw the ball hard. I was just locating it and cutting it and sinking it and curving it and changing it and mixing heights and speeds and ins and outs, and it was just pitching. That's why I like to pitch.
How about the competition on this staff? You have Flaherty coming off the unbelievable year. Dakota was 16. Your incredible stretch. Miles, leader in wins the year before, and then, oh, by the way, Carlos and that electric arm.
Yeah, we have a chance to have a really, 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 really good pitching staff. It makes me very excited. I mean, just to be a part of this group of guys is incredible. I mean, you know, a couple years ago, Carlos and I were going back and forth on who should or who would start opening day, and now Carlos is there. Everyone's listed him as maybe the 5th guy, and I'm maybe the 4th guy. You know, it's been cool to see the evolution of some of these young pitchers and how good they've gotten, and their talent level is just tremendous. But Carlos and I were talking yesterday. We're not just ready to mail in being really, really good at this game yet. So we'll see.
Which one of those pitchers would you not want to face? Because you're a hitter. Who could you not hit?
You know who I might have the most trouble with is me, because I throw a bunch of junk, and I hate hitting all that junk, curveballs and sliders. Dakota would give me some fits too, because I don't like hitting those really heavy sinkers. But I wouldn't like to face any of those guys, honestly. I mean, nobody's throwing anything straight, you know, down the middle, which is what I really like hitting, as every other hitter in the world will tell you.
All right, a couple of quickies before we let you go. You can trade skill sets with one Cardinal for one day.
When he's healthy, I want to pitch like Jordan Hicks for one day.
What age did you know I can be a major leaguer?
That went in and out. I knew that from the time I was 3 till the time I was 10, and then from I was 10 to about 16, I thought maybe, but then when I turned about 16 or 17, I thought I could do it, yeah.
What food do you crave that you now try to avoid because you want to stay in great shape?
Sweet tea.
If Mike Schilt were not in baseball, what do you think he'd be doing for a living?
Not in baseball in any regard?
Yeah.
So not coaching high school baseball? Man, what do they like to do in North Carolina? He's not big enough to be a basketball player or a basketball coach, although some of those coaches are pretty small. I think he'd be a principal.
Oh, I like that, yeah. Your wife's knowledge of the game on a 1 to 10.
About a 9.5.
Does she ever critique you?
No, she never critiques me, which is refreshing. But if you ask her about players, she knows players. She watches every playoff game. She loves baseball, which I love. I love baseball also, so we have a great time watching it together.
What are you watching on Netflix right now?
We're watching a show called Billions right now, but it's on Prime.
Yep. Favorite place to eat in St. Louis?
Grace Meat and 3.
How much interest did you have in the Blue Stanley Cup run?
It's hard to compare it because I never have been really interested in hockey until the last couple of years, maybe like the last 3 or 4 years. So we watched every game like it was the World Series.
Best single perk about being a big leaguer?
The pay?
I love that. And a final thought. What is your second act after baseball?
Farmer.
Say that again?
Farmer.
Are you joking?
No.
Really?
Yeah. I've got an organic farm that we do eggs and vegetables and fruits and pecans and all that. So my job will be being successful enough at that where we can be profitable so we can give away a lot of our stuff to people who need it.